I'm going to reveal to you how to take the wheel of your life. Once you know this, your life will be extremely meaningful, a hidden choice where you might initially have believed no choice existed, and with that you will regain control of your life forever. As a result, anxiety will easily vanish. I call this concept responsible of and responsible for, and it's the second big step to get rid of anxiety forever. I know this will totally help you out, and I'm confessing this to you for free. Yes, free, because I love you and I want to demonstrate I can help you by actually helping you. Are you ready? Yes, in fact this is true. Man is condemned to be free. These words were said by the famous philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. To wrap it up, he said that every man is responsible for everything he does. If you don't believe me, let me tell you a story. I want to introduce to you to Viktor Frankl, a man with problems, really bad problems. Even though he had a good life, he was wealthy, he was a renowned and respected psychiatrist, and had a beautiful family, World War II came to destroy Europe. The thing is, he was Jewish and spent 3 years in a couple of Nazi concentration camps. Yes, this was not his fault, and he had a pretty awesome life before the war. So what happened in those 3 years? His father died within the first 6 months, his brother was killed in Auschwitz, his mother died, his wife died in another concentration camp, and he never saw his sister again. One day, you're an important and prominent doctor having a nice family. He was married and his wife was pregnant at the time she died. And the next day, they take everything away from you, including his parents, his wife and child, and not to mention material stuff like his home, his career, clothes, and all of his belongings. After living like this, probably in the worst conditions a human being can even possibly think of, maybe slavery could be a similar situation, how can anybody deal with it and still keep going? Despite all the opportunities that were granted to him before this misfortune, everything was taken away from him. The only thing he had at this point in his life seemed to be suffering and disappointment. And who could blame him, right? Viktor Frankl fell into a deep depression when all his family died and began making plans to take his own life. In a Nazi concentration camp, it was so easy to die that he didn't have to think it too much. But then, something stopped him from doing it. Frankl started to observe that those who were able to survive in the worst conditions a human being could ever experience were the ones who found some meaning in it. For some, that meaning was to return home with their families. For others, that meaning was a task that they needed to fulfill. For Frankl, he wanted to write a book to change the lives of millions, which led to a huge motivating factor to survive because of the meaning, and he did. He used his experiences in the concentration camps and turned them into a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which, by the way, according to the Library of Congress, belongs to a list of the 10 most influential books in the United States. His desire to write his book during his experience in the concentration camps was the turning point for him to survive and then unleash all the success he had later. Frankl said, "Everything can be taken from a man except the last of the human freedoms, which is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way despite everything." There is a simple hidden choice from which all personal improvement and growth emerges and starts spreading. This hidden choice is simple to understand, but not necessarily easy to fulfill. We're responsible for everything in our lives, no matter the external circumstances. We don't always control what happens to us. That is true, but it's also damn true that we always control how we think, as well as how we respond to it. As the famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who by the way was a slave during the Roman Empire, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Whether you recognize it or not, we're always responsible for our experiences. It's impossible not to be. Doing nothing about it is still a choice you make. You can't escape from it. Many times, the only difference between a problem being painful or being powerful is a decision we decide to make, and therefore, we're responsible for it. It's not different for your anxiety when you resist it with all your heart and soul. It can be indeed terrifying and painful, but if you willingly choose to make yourself responsible for it, you could steer the ship around and start living the life you are after. Long story short, the more we choose to accept responsibility in our lives, the more power we'll exercise over them. Accepting responsibility for our problems is the first step to solving them. Same with anxiety, same with any problem you may have. Are you willing to take the wheel of your life to seek for the life you are after? This question demands an answer from you. It can't be just left there. If you like what you've seen until now, I will tell you the next steps to consistently get rid of your unhealthy anxiety if you let me mentor you. Click the button below to be mentored by me every day to finally get rid of anxiety forever. I'm here for you. You are not alone anymore. Click the button below to start this new journey. I am the Anxiety Mentor.